welcome to the senior board. And so evacuation procedure, I think everybody knows, but there are two exits and one at the back, one at the front. Please gather in the car park and don't leave until you're told to do so by Brown. Okay, thank you. Apologies for absence. We've got apologies from Catherine D. Wright, substituted Councillor David Humphreys, apologies from Councillor Ray Jarvis, substitute by Councillor Denise Hughes, and apologies from Councillor Emma Wapples, the substitute from Councillor Steve Stewart. Thank you very much to those subs and welcome to the meeting. Any disclosures of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests? Anyone? Definitely. So we move on. Public participation. I've not been informed of any. Minutes of the last meeting, which was on the 29th of September. Has anyone got any comments on it? Okay, now we propose then. That's Amelia, Aaron, a seconder. Thank you. Seeing Jeff. All those in favour. Thank you. Sign later. So agenda item 6 is the fly tipping progress report. And Andy, are you going to do it a bit? Going to present your visual aid at the back?
Did you notice? Yeah, thank you, Chair. No. Yeah, I'll mention that as you brought it up. We discussed, if you remember, the last time, the different tactics we were looking to employ. We tried for the overhead matrices on the motorways, tried to get visual signage as you come into the borough. We thought that was a good idea. Highways weren't so keen, so we've had to strike that one off. But one of the next best things is rather large signs as seen behind, highly visible on A-frames, which will obviously chain to shoot furniture or the usual sandbags, etc. So we've got half a dozen, which will be mobile, basically, around the borough, targeted towards hotspot ingresses into the borough, where obviously a lot of the fly tipping's occurring. So we've been waiting on chains and the padlocks, which have now landed. So we've pretty much got everything we need to get these out. So, like Birmingham Road, I can tell you're looking at me. So we'll certainly obviously deploy them out towards the hotspots, Crawley, initially Waterloo and Birmingham Road, around them locations, and we'll monitor them. We'll obviously put it out in comms, get some good comms out, and we'll see how we get on with them. So you'll be seeing them out on location within a week.
Brilliant. Thank you. So any questions and comments from anyone on that or the report? Thanks, Peter, and then Andy.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank Andy for all the work he's been doing. He's been very helpful with me on the Birmingham Road in two particular areas. One with the field that was completely plastered with it, but managed to get that moved. But then sadly, there was a load of fly tipping that was done just down from the Woodland Cemetery. And thanks to Andy, got all those removed. Touch wood, but there's been nothing that has been there since it was all removed. And finally, if you want some A-frames, there's about 4 dozen of them on the 446. You can help yourself, please.
Worth noting.
Thank you. Andy, and then please.
Yeah, thank you. Just I think it's really good that you've got the drone now. But just a couple of questions about that.
Yeah.
First one is, has it been used yet? Second one is, where are we using it? Because the policy refers to council land, so but most fly tipping isn't on council land, it's on the lanes and streets, so are we using it there? And how is it used? Because obviously, you can't be flying around looking for people dropping fly tipping. So what do you actually use it for? And then the final bit is about the procedure itself. Is that now the procedure, or do we have to approve that? Does it have to go through a process for approving it and making it an official policy?
Okay, thank you. Through your chair. So in terms of the actual flights, the drone has been up on a number of training flights. We've got another member of the team who's going through the process of qualification. So we've been taking up in a training capacity. So everything that is required for operational flight is in place. The only thing that isn't to allow us to actually progress to operational flight is the data protection element, which is sat with legal at the moment, just to be written off. And the reason why that is there's a link on the website that takes you through to that process. So anybody can obviously look at the website, read what we're doing with the drone. On the website, it will tell everybody where we're operating. If we had a complaint, for example, through burning or fires in the back garden, it will be on the website that we'll be visiting at such a day, at such a time. A letter will also go out to that premises, so they will also know that we will be out and about at that occasion. So it won't be just council land. But we're just waiting for that final sign off for the data protection element of it, i.e. the storing of all the data that's going to be stored on the camera. So we're 99% there. Now you hit me with about 4 questions there. Is there a few others I didn't answer with that?
I think you've answered it all really, but it's about the policy. Does that need to go through a formal process for approving it and making it a formal policy? Or
Not as far as I know. I think it's been.
The chair, if I may, the policy's all been ratified. It is just the data protection impact assessment that we need to just have signed off by head of legal, and then we'll be ready. Can I just add to that? That this is a policy for other people using drones over our land. What's the policy on our using a drone? Chair, the policy is for us as using the drone, but it seems to be only focused on North Warwickshire Borough Council land, going over that. So it doesn't sort of say what restrictions may or may not be imposed on our going over other people's land.
Without having to freshen myself on it, the policy that we've got here is similar to a policy written for another council, Herefordshire. So kind of linked in with Herefordshire, see how they're operating, and this is a very similar policy. So it should have all the information in that's required. I'll come back to you on that, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of, I think you was actually asking for the operational, in terms of like the method in which we would be using. Yeah, I knew there was one.
yes,
So no, it's not really designed for catching offenders actually fly tipping. What it is designed for is to secure best evidence and to show the courts an impact from an aerial view of a fly tip. So, you know, some of the fly tips we get some good images with the Mark 1 phone, you know, and the courts are used to those kind of evidential images. But nowadays, as we move forward with the use of drones, you can actually show the court an aerial view, beautiful countryside of North Warwickshire, and the impact that has. And as an impact statement goes, it really adds to the prosecution.
yeah, that makes sense.
So that's one of the, you know, as well as building actually a case, you know, using it as building a case as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think it's Katie and then William. Did you have that?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Chair. My initial question was, how much are they? How much are the signs? Do we know? Sorry, put you on the spot.
Yeah, so for 6, it was at approximately £1,000 with the A-frames and the signs.
Okay, because maybe I don't want to speak for anybody else as a councillor, but obviously everybody's got their fly tipping areas. We've got quite a few in Hartshill, and I'd be interested with our community. We have community funds for community groups, but as it's a bane, it's not something I'll be opposed to of buying some more of them, because 6 doesn't seem a lot, does it, for the whole borough? You know, especially when it's so spaced out and we're so rural, there's a lot of space to fly to. So that's just an idea. But what I was coming back to was Andy's point. Do we tell them that we're flying the drone near them? Is that what you're saying?
It depends what it is we're actually doing. So if it's, for example, as I say, evidence gathering, where we're actually going over the top of, let's say a farm, somebody's property, then yes, we're totally transparent in what we do. It's not a covert piece of kit. So we would send them a letter and tell them what we're going to do as a means of our evidence gathering. And as I say, it would also be on the website.
Sorry, I misinterpreted it. I thought you meant like we were going to tell the fly tippers that we were coming.
No.
Because obviously there are areas, but there are certain farms, for example, to use at a farm, that are constant victims in their driveways and stuff, and that I'm sure they'll be very happy to hear that. I'm sure they will.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thanks. I just wondered if there was an easy way for councillors to get feedback on fly tipping in their area without having to kind of bother you. So if I've reported fly tipping, so I could just go online and see, oh, that's going to court, no action, etc. Just because sometimes residents ask me, but I don't want to be constantly bothering officers because I know how busy you are. Is there just any thoughts about a way we could be kept updated?
Through Chair. Is that like prosecutions, do you mean? Or are you talking, sorry, Councillor, what actually, results on prosecutions or just?
No, just so I've reported fly tipping in my area because lots of little villages and it happens quite often, and it would just be nice to know what had happened. Obviously, I can see it's been cleared up.
Yeah.
But it'd be just useful to know if that case has been dropped, if you've found anybody, just feedback, and then we can let residents know, because I know you've started putting online prosecutions, but I know that best well in the world they're kind of few and far between, but what's happening with the rest of the cases without councillors having to kind of keep emailing all the time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Brilliant. So it feels a bit the spreadsheet. So as people report fly tipping, it goes on the spreadsheet and then and then it's followed through to whatever the end is with it. It's just cleared or whatever. And just while I'm speaking, I know there's been some reports on some Facebook pages about fly tipping. I'm sure everybody has. But in one case, somebody had actually photographed the van doing it, and I've saved the post, but I don't know whether it's reported. People sometimes think putting it on Facebook is a report, which of course it isn't. I've looked at the new app, everybody, I know we've all downloaded it, our new app, and I've been on to the fly tip report. There is no opportunity to upload a photograph, which I think would be really helpful. It asks for the address and it tries to find the location on the map. But yes, I mean.
Sorry, yeah, very simple, Chair. I'm quite surprised to hear that because when we were sold that, I remember when we sold that idea of this app and all shine, all dancing, we were told it was going to have photos and.
I'm sure it's capable.
Yeah, and we were going to get updates of how things are progressing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's capable of taking photos. I'm sure it will be, but yeah, Mike, you seem to know the answer.
Happy to take that away. The app has the ability to take photos. If we switch that element off, I'll need to check further, but happy to do that. In addition to that, how we align that with the work and the investigations for fly tipping. So you provided regular updates. Again, we're happy to go back and feed that information back to the next meeting if that helps.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that would be helpful. And whilst we do learn about prosecutions, we understand it takes a long time. I think the point that Brennan made about let's just know what's happened to people who've reported would be really helpful. And if you can't take action, you can't, but at least you can let them know. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Is there anything else from anybody? Yes, Major.
Yeah, on the A5, as you're coming into Atherstone from Dunedin, there's a lay-by. There seems to be a hotspot for fly tipping. I don't know whether the council is aware of it.
Through you, Chair. Is that the lay-by opposite the Copcat? Yeah, so we have looked at that. And in fact, that came up in a meeting we had last week. The issue being predominantly a concrete bin that's there, and passers-by tend to use it as they'll pull in, see a concrete bin, often it might be 3/4 or full by the end of the day, and they will just put a bag next to it, and it will build up around the bin.
Yeah.
So what we did, we looked at that strategy, we looked at what other authorities are doing around that kind of thing. And then one of the strategies was to remove the bin. Because quite often people will see a bin and think, oh no, I'm going to put some rubbish there. So we moved the bin and it's reduced it dramatically. And that's quite a recent thing.
Yeah.
So that's over the last
It's
couple of weeks.
less now than
Yeah.
it used to be.
Yeah. So that was, no, that's good. That's a good point, because actually when I ordered them signs, while I was waiting for them, that was going to be one of the first locations it was going to be positioned right at the head of that lay-by, one of these signs, but I think we can look elsewhere now. Thank you.
Yeah, just on that point, so how are you going to decide where they're going? Your precious 6, did you say? Signs. Because I think there's going to be a few people bidding for them, so yeah.
All bids are off the table, Chair. It will just literally be experience through where the hotspots have been, where I've been going out to, getting an overview of all the reports coming in. Because obviously I'll go through the reports daily.
Yeah.
The size of these are really designed for the main arterial routes,
Right.
rather than a residential road. So you'd be seeing these on, for example, the 446, that kind of road, or the major roads. The idea is a lot of our criminals are transient. We know that they're coming from Birmingham and Coventry and so forth. So that these are to target them coming into the borough.
Yeah.
So it's really data, it's data analysis.
Thank you. And Katie's point about, using community fund if we want some in our area, perhaps we can just talk to you about that if you want. And possibly for, smaller lanes, it might be a smaller sign, or whatever you think is appropriate. Okay, we'll talk about that on an individual basis. Please. Yes.
Thank you. This actually, first of all, Andy, I think we talked the last time. I know this is a thin string, as it were, but because we do get, as has been mentioned, some fly tipping that appears on private land or farmland. I think I did ask, was there any potential help that we can offer to private in any way, shape or form by government or whatever? Any help that we can make them aware of or anything? And the second is that I think it should not be missed to congratulate legal services and the environmental health team for the successful prosecutions they made with the payment of nearly £1,200 in fines and costs. And I see 2 more prosecutions headed at Birmingham Magistrate Court on the 27th of October. So I think our congratulations should go to those teams for what they've done and the hard work that they do. So thank you. But I'd be interested to know about that private or the help, if any.
Through you, Chair. Following our conversation, I did see what other forces was doing, the boroughs or the councils were doing around that very thing. And some PCCs offer grants for that exact thing, for farmers or landowners who have had a lot of issues around fly tipping on their land. They can apply for a grant or funding through their PCC. Alas, in Warwickshire, and I did ask them, did go direct to the PCC, and then they said they don't actually offer that particular funding stream for that. So that's kind of where I got with that.
Grateful. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Right. Also, Steve.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very grateful for the updates and also for the increasingly proactive nature of our work in this area, because I think we'd all appreciate not having to deal with the requests that come in. In that regard, a motion was brought to full council in relation I believe by yourself, Chair, actually, in relation to the council's reaction to fly tipping. Now, I seem to remember, although I'm willing to be put right about this, but one of the actions that came out from that, an amended action, was that the leader of the council was going to write to counterparts in neighbouring boroughs to remind them of their responsibilities in this area, because it isn't so much, while we're suffering the outcome of the problem, it's not a North Warwickshire generated problem, because as has been pointed out, a lot of this is coming in from Birmingham and Coventry and their reactions to their own dealing with book collections and so forth and costs arising from that. Did we actually write in that regard, and was there any response?
To be honest, I don't know. What I will do is ask Andy, what could we ask our neighbours to do to help us? Is there anything specific we can ask them to? Because it is coming from their areas, quite right.
Yeah, so what we're finding is the larger fly tips that we know as a fly tip, it would be on the whole coming in from other areas. The smaller fly tip that you often get a mattress, or you get maybe white goods that you probably find that's coming from with it. It's a good question. It's certainly been thought about. There's when you're looking at Birmingham Council and Coventry, they're obviously big authorities with a lot of departments spread across a vast area. I did make initial inroads into that very thing a while ago, and I think I've come up against a bit of an administration wall as to the best place to actually target. But what I'll do, I'll renew that inquiry because that is very valid.
Absolutely. If you do that, and I'll speak to David Wright and ask him to liaise with you too. So if he hasn't already written, to make sure he writes, but he's fairly specific about what we'd expect.
Absolutely, Chairman. I'm very grateful for that. I'm fully aware that you can come across asking one officer to another officer who doesn't necessarily lead high up on their areas of priorities. If there's anything that can be done from top peer to peer at the top level and then directly down, a different and more proactive, productive response might be forthcoming.
It could to be other leaders.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Katie, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, so, thanks, Chair. In your experience, Andy, has this fly tipping become more of a problem around here since we've had to book slots for the tip? Because Nuneaton, which is, I mean, it's probably not everybody's local tip, but it houses a substantial amount of residents. Has it been more of a problem since you've had to book your slot?
Oh, through you, Chair. How long has that been? How long has that been the case?
COVID.
I'm still very aware. I'm still a new boy on the plot. I've only got.
It started in COVID, and I think
2020.
it's going to their council.
They're reconsidering, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe it's something that, as a council, again, can encourage our neighbouring councils, because my shed is full of rubbish, because I know I'm going to have to go and book a slot, and I've got to figure out a day when I can do it. And it will just happen where I'll be like, we've got a free weekend, let's book one tomorrow. But it closes 24 hours. It's a bit of a pain to book it. And I just wondered if there was any stats out there, because my shed's full of rubbish, but if people are finding it easier, if they haven't got a shed, to just dump it somewhere, I think it'd be quite interesting, because Bedworth, I don't know if anyone's had the joy of going down Rabbit Lane in Bedworth recently. It looks like it's snowed down there because someone's let a few duvets off, but it's always really, really bad down there. If we can encourage our neighbouring councils to make the right decisions on them kind of things with some sort of data to back it, it would be quite handy. I mean, I'd like it if I could just turn up, to be fair, but I think a lot of people would. And the general thing on the community groups, on the Nuneaton groups, is that they prefer to not have a tipping system.
Yeah, so perhaps we could get that data and look at Sharon and see if we can get any evidence. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Peter?
Thanks, Chair. Interesting that Kate's brought that up. Many years ago, rather than me having to travel to Dorton, I was able to go to Solihull because they would allow us to go in there. It was kind of a cross-border agreement with North Warwickshire. But I think since COVID took, they then went on to these postcodes. I don't know whether that's what you're talking about, because I did ask some time ago that whether we could actually talk with neighbouring, so people from Coldsall could actually go to Solihull rather than going to Dordon and Tamworth, etc. If it's nearer, because environmental, it could be better than travelling, etc. The fuel, but I just wondered whether there was a possibility of reinvigorating that with borough councils that like Solihull, where we have that agreement. But it all changed, as Katie said, from COVID, and
Yes,
they
I
came on the
suspect-
postcode.
I think one of the reasons why the booking system, I mean, there's a good reason for it during COVID, but I think one of the reasons why it's stuck, as it were, is because Warwickshire knows that they're only getting Warwickshire's rubbish and not anybody else's. And I assume the other neighbouring authorities think the same. But whether we can get some agreements going, I don't know, to talk to the county about them.
Be interesting.
Denise?
Thank you, Chair. I think that our ice farm works really well. I mean, we've been taking the kitchen out and Tony's been able to get a slot within an hour. You know, we've never not been able to get a slot. I think it works really well and really nice people up there. Thank you, Chair.
So so if we've got any evidence, we'll have a look. And as you said, the county are looking at it again to see what their decision should be.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I actually living at the top end of the county or the borough, I actually use Lount in Stratford, the Stafford church. And they open 8 o'clock, 8:30 twice a week at night. And that makes a major difference to a lot of people because it's they don't open on a Tuesday because they work all day Sunday as well. So their opening hours actually are far. And they're not draconian, because I know if you try to go to Coventry with the postcode, you can't get on, they will throw you out. So that doesn't help the situation anyway. But I actually think if there's more accessibility, then you're going to get less fly tipping. Thank
Let's
you.
hope that's how the county see it when they discuss it. So, yes, okay. Lynn.
Through you, Chair. Sorry, I just wanted to give, because in the report, by the time I wrote it, we didn't have Q2 numbers for enforcement action. So we've had the 12 enforcement actions, including the 1 prosecution. We've had 4 fixed penalty notice for fly tipping under section 33. We've had 4 fixed penalty notice for section 34, which is the duty of care. We've had 2 simple cautions and 1 for littering as well. That was these have all been advertised on our website as well on Fly Tipping Friday. So just some good news to end the
Thank you. So it's good to end on those. Thank you very much. Okay, so we just asked to note that report, and as long as there's no objections from anyone.
Lucy, there they are.
That's really great news. Would you like to email? Yes, of course, it'd be great if we could publicise that.
And we'll also, I don't know whether the Power BI website, which I think we should probably be advertising more, but that data is updated quarterly on there. So that members of the public can see it, see the good results. And yeah, we'll definitely advertise that a lot better because obviously if your councillors aren't seeing it, members of the public aren't be seeing it as well. So definitely, really
Well done. Thank you. As I say, if there's no objections from anyone, we'll just say we've noted that. We don't need to vote on it. It's just a noting. Thank you. So just moving on then to the air quality of item 7, air quality progress report. Do you want to say anything, Sharon, on this?
It's again another report to be noted. And yeah, if you've got any questions, it's just to update you on work that we've been doing to help to improve air quality in the borough.
Okay. Yes, Jason.
I just wanted to thank Milan for all the work you've done with this and coming to health and wellbeing and listening to us all moaning. As councillors, sometimes we're very like ward specific and we're like, I've got a tip, I've got this, I've got HS2. You know, we've all got very specific problems in our areas, and I know it's been really difficult for you to share. That is it 8 locations, but you've done really, really well, and your hard work and keeping us up to date, it's been brilliant. So like, well done, all credit to you for that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Steve, do you have a hand up?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with Katie. Not of the work that Maylan's done, which is excellent as always, and she's always kept everyone up to date. I'm a little bit concerned in relation, and I am going to be very, very parochial and talk about water on here in relation to this. My understanding was that 5 of the monitors of the 8 that are across there were at least funded by public health, specifically in response to specific health concerns that had been raised following a health survey. I was made aware that one of the monitors is being looking to be moved, which sort of takes away from some of the things that we've detailed and promised initially, which was my understanding. I've checked in relation to this with Martin Watson, who detailed that he was, put forward to get the award for 3 years from Public Health. And he said that his understanding was it was specifically for those 5 monitors to be placed within Waterton. There was talk about relocation, but my understanding of that, and again, I'm willing to be wrong, was around the possible relocation of those monitors within the area to allow for potential better mapping of that situation. The concern is that I've got is that we do have some very, very specific concerns. That's why the funding was put together. That's why the public health response was what it was. And air quality is fundamentally affected, particularly when we're talking about particulates in relation to the overall weather that we feel. And it was around that 3 years longevity was to give us a greater understanding of that it wasn't just because we had a wet summer or we had a particularly dry summer or because it was windy or it wasn't and so forth, and to be enable that mapping to take place. While I'm grateful that my initial understanding of the 3 months to be moved, there's actually only going to be 1, I am concerned still around the overability and impact on that. I don't know how I would sell that locally. Also, a lot of the location and the work was done in relation to this was done via the special management zone. In relation to HS2, SMZ has not been consulted on the alteration of the placement of these particulate monitors, and it's part of an ongoing discussion, obviously, with HS2 and their own monitoring as well. So I'm more than a little uneasy about, I've got to note my objection to the moving of the one within Waterton. That's not to say that there is not a case for having them in Coleshill and Curdworth and Atherton and further across the borough as well. But my understanding is that that there should be greater funding allocated to enable that to happen, which I would be in support of. Thank you.
I think we all understand the issues in Waterton. I mean, that seriously, it's really awful. HS2 works. So Sharon, you got to respond to that.
Yeah,
So can you just be clear, how many monitors are there in Waterton at the moment then?
There are 5.
5, and you're proposing to take 1 away, leaving 4. Is that right?
Yeah, Chair, if I could just pass this on to Millen, she, as
Right.
Councillor Hobley said, she's done a lot of work in this area.
It's up through you, Chair. So, yes, the conversation came around from, we've got the 5 sensors in Waterton, 3 and across the borough. And those 3 sensors, outside of Waterton, 2 of them are showing results that we are happy with and are not showing any exceedances. One of them was showing certain spikes, which is why we wanted to keep it there for longer, which is the Dordon site, which is great. So that's why we've got the other 2 being moved either to Atherton and Curdworth. The reason we had a conversation about one of the Waterton ones being moved is because we're still covering HS2. It's still the impact of HS2 being reviewed as part of that. So Coleshill and Curdworth will both still factor in the impact of HS2, and also it's still with the way that the works have changed over the last year. We are receiving more complaints from Coleshill, so it's to make sure that we're covering and we're monitoring that area. And as Councillor Powell has raised previously, that's had a huge impact. It's not a case of that these are the 3 locations and that's finalised. This was discussed at the Health and Wellbeing Party, and that's what was decided. If councillors want to change their minds on that, that's no problem. We can definitely review this again. So it's not set in stone. It's just this is the plan that we came up with in that meeting.
Just a bit clear, are HS2 monitoring the air quality as well?
Yes, they are.
So how does their data compare with ours?
It matches our data. And they don't have any exceedances in the locations that they're monitoring. They're monitoring dust by the boundary of a lot of the sites, which is what they're obligated to do. They obviously any company could do more. So I think from the last meeting, I was asked to maybe request HS2 to fund these moves on some of these sensors. They've come back to me and said that there's a community environment fund that councillors can request money from. We as council can't, so I can't personally make that request, but I can circulate that information to yourselves to see whether that's something that that you'd be able to do, and I can help with the proposal in any way. But that's what they've come back with. So we are monitoring it. The levels of water Orton are below threshold, which is why we want to look at different areas and try to action.
I'm just thinking, if they are also monitoring and their data similar to ours, whichever location we are thinking of taking the monitor away from, if they are monitoring it, can we get their data?
Yeah, we've got a 3-year check, sorry. We've got a lot of the data, so I can request data from them on a regular basis, which I do based off complaints that we receive. I've got monthly meetings with HS2 where we discuss noise applications that they submit under Section 61, and air quality does come up in those meetings.
So is there a way of ensuring that the whole area is monitored in the way that it has been? Steve, you know?
Yeah, through you, Chair, thank you. Is my feeling in relation to this is that the monitors, HS2 will put their monitors where they put their monitors. Yeah, and I'm not going to say they put them where they're going to get the best possible results, but their aim and impact in relation to residents and impact is there, which is why when we replaced them, we spent a considerable amount of time trying to actually ascertain where it would be best placed to get that kind of coverage with 5. And obviously, is that this was in relation to a health survey, which saw an awful lot of people with pre-existing health conditions that were respiratory. So we're suffering an increase in symptoms, a lack of effectiveness in medication, a need for stronger medication or increased taking of medication or worsening of those symptoms. The concern is that the impact and the nefarious impact of this does, particularly in areas such as the school, which is right next to the tunnelling site, to all these purposes with people going out there, is that we're going to be having a long-term impact that's going to be seen and isn't necessarily going to be displayed straight away, because it's not necessarily an increase in people demonstrating these, but it is being shown with people in pre-existing conditions on a massive basis, which is why the public health money was kind to be sought. I really, really welcome the opportunity to help and support any kind of bid we can for extending that. I can't help but feel that a bid coming in for Water Orton to replace one of those monitors is possibly not going to be as well received as one for an area receiving a new one in its own right. Similarly, is that there's a concern I totally take on board, and I see exactly where you're going with relation to that, and it is welcome. But the concern is that the placing of these monitors were more focused around the impact on residents, and we cannot get that level of impact on areas of high pedestrian usage, and so forth, if we're removing what's already there. This is not around removing anything or withdrawing the cover from other areas that I fully support, but it's things that have been identified that is already necessary that we now seem to be rolling back on.
Yeah, I do understand the position. I do think Water Orton is a special case for obvious reasons. So solutions, please, Bill and Sharon. First of all, is it possible to get any more monitors so we don't have to move one?
Chair, it's funding. Obviously, these were paid for by public health. So if we could get more funding, then certainly.
How much is it for a monitor?
And sorry, through you, Chair. So for a new sensor, gosh, it was, I want to say 1,500 for one last year or 2 years ago. So that price would have increased, and then moving them, there's a cost to moving them as well. So for the 3, I think it's come up to about £900 at the moment to move 3 sensors. And so,
and I understand you've approached health and wellbeing working parties to this. So perhaps you can add a little bit to your bill and get another monitor as well, and see if Sandra's receptive to that. So can I ask that you do that before we do anything else? Okay. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I certainly support what Councillor Stewart has said, certainly regarding SMZ, there's nothing being made us aware of these sort of movements. And I think if anywhere needs air quality control, is certainly Water Orton, and then binds into what we call the Gilson, so not the Gilson, the Gorty Lane area, because it links so close, the two of us, right on that corner of that block, and then it leads on down, as we've said before, the 446 to Gilson, etc. And welcome the chance to get some more funding and some more monitors. But the one thing that does happen, which Curdworth, Water Orton and Coleshill are certainly suffering with at the moment, and I believe this is going to continue off and on until 2030, and that is the constant diversions of heavy goods traffic, as it did last week, 5 nights, not dwelling on, because I live on Grimstock Hill on the 446, but imagine all the other residents as well, that for 5 nights we had HGVs thundering past our area from like 9 o'clock through till 5 o'clock in the morning, which doesn't help people, being semi-retired, but doesn't help people that have to go to work in the morning. But this, again, Madam Chair, is going to continue, as they informed me from Highways England, that, yeah, it's going to go on to up to 2030. So you're going to get more and more and more diversions, which will strewn across Curdworth, Water Orton and Coleshill. So there is that call for more control on the air quality that we are suffering at the moment. But I certainly welcome the comments that Councillor Stewart has made supporting Water Orton, and I would support him on that, along with Curdworth and Coleshill. Thank you, Chair.
So if you could make a note of that in your considerations, and also the noise issue, could you get some monitoring of the noise that's going on with these vibrations as well? Thank you. Any other comments from anyone? Thank you. Again, we just asked to note the report, so if anyone's happy with that, we'll just move on. Thank you very much. So, next time, get myself organised. Is item 8, which is the leisure project statutory requirements for our borough. Is that you, Mike?
It is, Chair. The Construction Design Management Regulations 2015, better known as the CDM regs. The council has a statutory responsibility to comply with all stages of construction, design and management within those regulations. Our responsibility is to ensure that our contractors within operating our projects comply with all the health and safety requirements set out, and that we have to discharge our duty through the appointment of a responsible person. Tonight, the paper's asking you and proposing that recommendation is that the chair provide authority to officers to appoint the nominated competent person to discharge the council's CDM duties and responsibilities for the leisure project. Just to add to that, there is a further paper coming in about 4 weeks, which is proposing a more comprehensive strategy to ensure that the council complies with its CDM responsibilities, no matter what type of construction or demolition project it is doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And just to be clear, we're saying that competent person is part of the Apples Realis team. Is that correct?
Yes, Chair. So we would appoint the design competent person on stage 3, who must take into consideration the health and safety responsibilities, and we would appoint the CDM responsible for construction, which again will be through the applicant's contract. However, going forward in the bigger policy, it will depend on who those contractors are and who those designers are of the facilities we're building.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you.
I propose we move the recommendation, Chair.
Thank you. So it's been proposed that the recommendations on page 20, and you can read it there. authority given to interim corporate director, that's mine, to discharge the council CBN duties, etc. Seconded by, thank you, Councillor Lewis, Denise. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you. So item 9, staying with the letter for this, is a construction programme. But you again? Oh, that's the other 9. Okay. Of course, I think it's big and lovely. I'm not making any comments, but that's what's being to me.
Yeah, I do need to blame.
Thank you, Chair. If I can give a fairly brief introduction to the report. So members are keen to progress with the construction of a new replacement facility for Atherton Leisure Centre and the Memorial as soon as possible. And they've created the Member Leisure Working Group to provide a mechanism that guides officers in advance of recommendations being taken to board. That member working group doesn't have decision-making powers, and formal decisions relating to the new build have to currently be taken by board, and that requires a lead-in of several weeks. What we're recommending is a streamlined decision-making process which would avoid delay, minimise the period during which the provision of leisure services in Atherton are reduced or absent, and any authority given under delegation would include, but not be limited to, I'll give some headings here for English really rather than detail: programme and delivery, design, finance, procurement, contractual decisions, planning and development management, land and property, risk, legal and compliance, and also communications and engagement. So it is proposed that all necessary decisions be delegated to the Corporate Director of Streetscape in consultation with the Leader of the Council, Chair of Community Environment Board, the Member Leisure Working Group, Section 151 Officer and the Monitoring Officer. And those delegations would allow the Council to make decisions quickly, provide flexibility needed to keep the project on programme, help manage risks effectively, reduce the risk of any delay, ensure decisions are made in line with the Council approved budget and strategic priorities, minimise the impact of inflation, which is a big issue, and we've referred to that in the report, and maintain accountability through ongoing consultation with members and regular reporting back to the C&E board. So decisions under the delegated authority would be formally recorded to ensure transparency and compliance with the Council's constitution, and the Corporate Director for Streetscape will provide regular retrospective progress reports to the relevant boards, including updates on programme, risks, costs, delivery and milestones. In establishing the process to drive the governance proposed, it's also necessary to commit to the capital expenditure required to deliver the centre. And this will form part of the budget setting process in February, which will include the detailed costing and funding proposals that make up the budget. But there is a recommendation in this report that the council actually make a commitment of up to 27 million for the new leisure centre, and the details of that are actually set out in the exempt agenda item number 12, which we'll get to later in the agenda.
Thank you. Yeah, like Maurice just said, thank you, Nancy. Although the overall limit, if you like, on funding is there, the detail of it is in confidential. So if you've got questions about that, please keep it till then. Steve.
Thanks, Jack. I'm a member of the working group. We've been involved every other Monday when we're talking about these kind of things, and we kind of knew that this was coming up tonight. And one of the questions I raised recently, and I thought it's interesting to share it with everybody, was ensuring that these decisions that are being made fast track, that the working group gets clear visibility of every decision made, that we're not giving the officers an agreement to go and make decisions on our behalf and record them, as you say. And I was told, and that's what I want agreement from, Chair, that we will be involved in all of those decisions. And where we think it's a contentious decision, we reserve the right to bring that to the board outside the working group to get a bigger group consensus.
Absolutely.
And that's just one clarification, right? So everyone can hear that.
I think that's really important. And I'd also like to add to that in C&E board meetings, we can at least have a list of decisions that have been made, you know, so that people keep up to date with where we are. So absolutely right. And so we can add that to the recommendation that the working group reserves the right to refer things to C&E board, even if we have to have a separate CNE board meeting. Yeah, fair enough. David?
I think that's really important, and I'll just use two issues here. I was involved, and other people before me, about the time we got to it, the lights at the Green Man Crossroad. When I first got involved, it was 526,000. It cost 836,000. 50% more. The bridge crossing of Bermuda in Nuneaton was 3 years' work, 3.5 million, cost 15 million, was 5 years late. What we can't have is something running away with us. And we need to be able to report that. And there must come a time when a project becomes Armageddon at some stage. Jim, thank you.
Absolutely. And although it's not mentioned here, we are also, when I say we, it's two nights, me, David Wright, Caroline and Paul and Steve meet every other Wednesday to make sure the project's on track. That's just are we on track with this project every Wednesday morning, 12 so that's happening as well. But that's really important though, David, that you said we cannot allow this project to go off piece in terms of timescale, because apart from anything else, there are two good reasons. One is the cost goes up by the day, every day you're late. And secondly, we won't be here. This authority at the moment on the plan won't be here after 2028. So we'd really like to get it done before we disappear. So we do need to make sure that this is on track. Absolutely. Okay, Kate.
I propose, Chair, that we move the recommendations with the extra. I think Mike did actually say we are going to get key points. Was that you did say that, didn't you? So the key points obviously at CNE will be great because it is really exciting. But with what Steve has said about bringing stuff back, I'm quite happy to propose that that's moved, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Just to be clear, so the two extra things were that CNE board gets reports of decisions that have been made, and the working group reserves the right to refer things to CNE. Okay, Steve.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, I'd like to see the word timely in there in terms of reports or reporting back of decisions made, because there's no commitment as to it. It just says retrospectively. It could be that certain decisions actually don't come above the horizon until well afterwards. The other thing that I'd like to see is, because I'm all for empowering people to make decisions and cut into the process, but similarly is that there's no get out clause in this at the moment. So I'm quite happy to sort of like say for the period of next. The Roman Republic, whenever it was facing danger, had the ability to appoint a dictator, but that was always for a period of 12 months. And then it had to be renewed. I'd almost like to say here is that there's some ability to actually rein this back in. Is it things are going not the way that we like, or we feel that actually we do provide a greater scrutiny of that? So, so I'm quite happy to renew this every 6 months, every 12 months, or whatever.
We've got Ludica.
So they put in to deal with that.
It didn't work out that well for them, did it?
We can certainly come back after 12 months, whatever, to renew. It's nice. 6 months.
We can do it. I was just trying to give members reassurance that you have that right anyway at any time to tell us that you want something to come back to this board or any other board for that matter for further scrutiny. So that's it's inbuilt into the whole process. So whilst the technical decision, if you like, signed off is by an officer, it will be done obviously with full consultation with all the members that we've mentioned and the Section 151 officer and the monitoring officer as well. So there will be full scrutiny and transparency in the process.
Just remind me, when will REBA 7 be?
20 March or spring 2028
Right, okay, so it's
is right at the end.
So yes, so there is the right to say, that's seniors or any other board. Can I just appeal to Democratic Services to make sure you've amended the recommendation, because this will be going forward to other boards?
You want that to go through to exec board?
Yes, absolutely. It's very important that
Both of those extra ones?
Yes.
Both of those, yeah.
the recommendations from this board need to come forward to the next boards. Okay. Everybody happy with that? Okay, so Katie's proposed it, seconded by, thank you, Peter. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And the next paper, I believe, is the Minutes of the Health and Wellbeing Working Party. Do you have anything to say, Sandra? Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of items before we have the minutes from the meeting. We had a couple of requests for endorsements. One was from the River Anchor Access and Nature Study. They gave us a pretty conclusive presentation, and we did agree to endorse that. So we have awarded them a £5,000 grant to be ongoing with that. We've also had a request from Cancer Awareness, and this was really promoted by Anne Mayor. She's trying to raise as much awareness and as she possibly can. So we're going to have an awareness day in this building somewhere. And Becky's organising it. She knows much more about it behind it. And we'd like to endorse that, and we just want everybody, as many people as possible, to come along. And it's all about cancer awareness for your employees and for workplace awareness. So we're going to have a talk and a stall which will be there throughout the day, so as many people as possible can come in and support us on that one. The next thing was our smoke-free places update. We did, if people can remember, we asked a lot of school children to do some signs for all the outdoor play areas, so that their parents wouldn't smoke. I tell you what, we've got some pretty clever kids in this area. I don't know, did everybody have them, or is it just us that all the pictures?
So it's everyone who had an enclosed play area.
And some of them were very imaginative, so those have all been agreed now. So those will be going out for the different play areas for the children. Is there an easy way you can let us see those somehow?
They're doing the big reveals over the next couple of weeks with the kids who did the design. So our green space officers making some nice red curtains to do it all official. But yeah, then we've got comms on board to do a lot of promotional activity. So there'll be a big splash about it. It's a really nice thing.
Yeah, good to do. Yeah, and the other thing was going back to the air quality. We did fund the 3 monitors, the 3 mobile monitors that are out there. And we're quite happy to refund the moving of them, or we can talk about adding extras if people want to do that as well. So we'll put that on our next agenda. We'll work from there. Thank you very much. Any questions for Sandra? Just thank you again for the work you do. Yes, Katie.
Just a quick one, just as Sandra's saying, sorry, thanks, Chair. Thursday, the 20th of November, we have had a save the date for the Cancer Awareness Day. I think Debbie sent it out. Yeah, Debbie sent it out to all borough councillors. So it is out there.
Just to warn you, she's after your cash as well. Great. Okay, thank you again for the work you do on that group. Thank you. So I now have to read out. So here we go. To consider whether in accordance with section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 972, the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined by Schedule 12A to the Act. This proposal, thank you, Steve, seconded by Naomi, all those in favour. Thank you. So you can see there the gold papers